Ever wondered how people in the Old West managed their hygiene in such a harsh and rugged environment? From rare baths to unusual dental care routines, their methods were far from what we consider normal today. In this video, we'll uncover 5 bizarre hygiene practices that were common in the Old West. Number 1. Bathing habits. Bathing in the Old West was an infrequent and challenging practice. Clean water was scarce, and heating it required considerable effort, often involving chopping wood and stoking a fire. As a result, most people bathed only once a month or even less frequently. When a bath was taken, it was usually a family affair, with everyone using the same water. This communal bathing practice meant that the water was often dirty by the time it was the last person's turn, leading to less than ideal hygiene conditions. The rare occasion of bathing often took place in a metal tub in the kitchen or another common area of the home. Bathhouses existed in larger towns and charged a fee for the luxury of a hot bath. These establishments were often the only place where people could get a thorough cleaning. However, bathhouses were not always accessible to those living in remote areas, leaving many to rely on makeshift baths at home. Bathing outdoors in rivers or lakes was another option, though it was not without risks. These natural water sources were often cold, and during certain times of the year, bathing outside was nearly impossible due to freezing temperatures. Additionally, bathing in public water sources posed the risk of exposure to various contaminants and parasites. In the absence of regular bathing, people employed other methods to maintain some level of cleanliness. They used cloths to wipe down their bodies, a practice known as dry bathing. This involved using a damp cloth to wipe away sweat and dirt from the skin. While not as effective as a full bath, it was a practical solution given the circumstances. The limited bathing also had social and health implications. The lack of personal hygiene contributed to the spread of diseases such as typhoid and cholera. Skin conditions like rashes and infections were common due to the infrequent washing. Body odor was a fact of life, and strong-smelling perfumes or herbs were sometimes used to mask unpleasant smells. For women, maintaining cleanliness during menstruation added another layer of complexity. They often used homemade pads made from cloth or other absorbent materials, which required washing and reuse. The lack of proper sanitation and hygiene products made this a particularly challenging aspect of their lives. Number 2, dental hygiene. Dental care in the Old West was rudimentary and often relied on unconventional methods. Toothbrushes were rare, and toothpaste was even more scarce. Instead, people used charcoal or ashes to clean their teeth. They would rub these substances onto their teeth and gums, believing it helped to remove plaque and freshen breath. This abrasive method did provide some cleaning action, but it could also damage the enamel and irritate the gums. Another peculiar practice involved using urine as a mouthwash. Urine contains ammonia, which was thought to have whitening properties for teeth. People would swish urine around in their mouths, hoping to achieve a brighter smile. While this method might have had some chemical effect, it was far from hygienic and carried obvious health risks. The lack of proper dental hygiene practices led to widespread oral health problems. Tooth decay was rampant, as the diet of the time included a lot of hard, coarse foods that could easily damage teeth. Gum disease was also common, often resulting in tooth loss at a young age. Without modern dental care, extractions were the most common solution to dental pain, usually performed without anesthesia, leading to a painful experience. Furthermore, makeshift dental tools and techniques often caused more harm than good. People would sometimes use knives or other sharp objects to pick at their teeth, risking infection and injury. Professional dentists were few and far between, so most people had to rely on home remedies and local barber surgeons who might not have had any formal training. Number 3, clothing. In the Old West, clothing was rarely washed due to limited access to water and the labor-intensive nature of washing by hand. Most people owned only a few sets of clothes, and these were worn repeatedly, often until they were visibly dirty. The process of washing clothes involved hauling water from a well or stream, heating it over a fire, and scrubbing garments by hand with homemade soap. This time-consuming task was usually done infrequently, leading to heavily soiled clothing. Dust and dirt were constant companions in the Old West, exacerbating the issue. clothes quickly became filthy from daily activities such as farming, riding horses, and mining. The infrequent washing meant that sweat and grime accumulated, creating an ideal environment for lice and other parasites. These pests thrived in the dirty clothing, causing itching and discomfort, and sometimes leading to more serious health problems. Skin infections were another consequence of rarely washed clothing. The combination of sweat, dirt, and tight-fitting garments could irritate the skin, resulting in rashes and infections. Without modern antiseptics and antibiotics, these conditions could become severe and difficult to treat. To mitigate the dirt and extend the wear of their clothes, people often shook out dust and brushed off loose dirt. They might also hang their clothes in the sun, believing the sunlight would kill bacteria and freshen the garments. However, these methods were only partially effective and did not replace proper washing. During colder months, woolen garments were commonly worn, but these were even harder to clean than cotton or linen. Wool needed careful handling to avoid shrinking and damage, making it impractical to wash frequently. As a result, winter clothing often became especially grimy. The scarcity of clean clothing also influenced social interactions. People were accustomed to the smell of unwashed bodies and garments, so body odor was largely tolerated. However, for special occasions or when trying to make a good impression, such as during courtship or social gatherings, people would do their best to present themselves in their cleanest attire, often resorting to perfumes or colognes to mask any odors. Number 4. Hair care. Hair care in the Old West was a stark contrast to modern practices. Lard or animal fat was commonly used to keep hair in place and protect it from the harsh environment. This greasy substance made the hair manageable and provided some protection against the elements, but it also attracted dust, dirt, and insects. The use of lard made hair sticky and unpleasant over time, requiring frequent reapplication to maintain its effect. Soap made from animal fat and lye was another method used for hair cleaning. This homemade soap could be harsh, often stripping the hair of natural oils and leaving it dry and brittle. The lye in the soap could cause scalp irritation and damage hair follicles, leading to issues like dandruff and hair loss. For styling, people sometimes used substances like beeswax or pine resin. These natural products helped to keep hair in place, especially in elaborate styles that were popular at the time. However, they also had drawbacks, such as being difficult to wash out and adding to the buildup of residue in the hair. Women often braided their hair or wore it in buns to keep it neat and out of the way. These styles were practical and helped to manage long hair without frequent washing. Men typically kept their hair shorter, but still faced the same challenges with cleanliness and maintenance. Natural oils, like those from plants or animals, were sometimes used to add shine and manageability. These oils provided some nourishment, but were not as effective as modern hair care products in maintaining overall hair health. The lack of proper grooming tools, such as combs and brushes, also made hair care more challenging. Number 5. Sanitation. Sanitation in the Old West was rudimentary and often unsanitary. Outhouses, small wooden structures built over a pit, served as the primary toilets for most households. These outhouses were typically situated away from the main living quarters to mitigate the smell and prevent any contamination of the immediate living area. The lack of ventilation and proper waste management made these outhouses breeding grounds for flies and other pests. In more isolated areas, where building an outhouse was impractical, people often resorted to using open spaces for their sanitary needs. This practice posed significant health risks, as human waste in open areas could easily contaminate nearby water sources. Contaminated water was a common cause of waterborne diseases such as cholera and dysentery. The spread of these diseases was exacerbated by the close quarters in which people lived and the limited access to medical care. The design of outhouses varied, but they typically lacked any form of waste treatment. Once a pit was full, it was either covered with soil and abandoned or emptied manually, a task that was both unpleasant and hazardous. The waste was sometimes used as fertilizer, a practice that further risked spreading pathogens if not properly managed. Efforts to improve sanitation included the introduction of lime or ash into the pits to reduce odor and hasten the decomposition of waste. However, these measures were often inconsistent and only partially effective. The absence of systematic waste disposal methods meant that sanitation was largely a matter of individual responsibility, leading to varying levels of cleanliness. In towns, public outhouses were more common, but they were often overused and poorly maintained. The rapid growth of settlements due to the gold rush and other economic booms put a strain on the existing infrastructure, making it difficult to keep up with the sanitary needs of an expanding population. The lack of proper sanitation facilities also contributed to the spread of parasites like hookworms, which thrive in soil contaminated by human feces. These parasites could cause severe health issues, including anemia and malnutrition, further complicating the already harsh living conditions.